just really starting to get comfortable in church and teaching a little bit of Sunday school, and I told him that. And he said, well, would you like to teach Sunday school here? I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, first of all, I was like, all right, I'm brand new. He doesn't know me from anybody, and all of a sudden he's wanting me to know if I want to teach Sunday school. So I was a little concerned about the church at that point. And I was like, no, I think I'll just, I'll visit one of your Sunday school classes. About that time, one of the older ladies showed up. He introduced me. He goes, you could go to their class. Perfect. He didn't give me a job, and I'm going to visit this class here. I get in there, and it's me and 5 elderly ladies. And the lesson that day was, ladies, being submissive to your husbands. I was like, Lord, from now on, if somebody asks me to teach, I will teach every Sunday school class you ask me. So that's how I ended up with these jobs, so just so you know. But it was a great class, and I learned a lot, and we had a good time. So I need a volunteer to read. Debbie was supposed to read, but she skipped out on me. Who wants to read? First, we're reading Genesis 16, 1 through 6. Thank you, ma'am. This is an interesting Sunday school lesson, and as you know, Tom left me with plenty to talk about. So I thank Tom for that opportunity.
Now Sarah, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maid whose name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, now behold, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Please go in to my maid. Perhaps I shall obtain children through her. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarah. And after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Abram's wife Sarah took Hagar, the Egyptian, her maid, and gave her to her husband Abram as his wife. And he went in to Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her sight. And Sarah said to Abram, may the wrong done me be upon you. I gave my maid into your arms, but when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her sight. May the Lord judge between you and me. But Abram said to Sarai, behold, your maid is in your power. Do to her what is good in your sight. So Sarai treated her harshly, and she fled from her presence.
All right, thank you very much. All right, now this Sunday school lesson, a person could get in trouble real quick. So whenever I go to chase a rabbit down the hole, I got Ken praying for me that I quit that chase and I come back to the lesson that God's intended here. So, Ken, the responsibility is on you. All right, so the question, everybody got a handout? Debbie, you need a handout? Everybody's got a handout? So the first question, and Tom entitled this series, Detour or It All Depends Upon Me. And the first question there, when traveling, have you ever taken a detour? How did the detour work out? Most of the time in my travels, I hate to see the word detour because you know it's not going to be a comfortable trip and you have no idea how long it's going to take you. So usually when I see a detour sign, I'm like, Lord, give me some patience because I know I'm going to need it. One that really stuck out on my mind, I was going to take a goat to a guy in Oregon, and we were going to meet in Kansas City. He was driving down from Oregon, and I was leaving Nashville. He was late, so I just kept driving. I got north of Kansas City, and they had a big flood. Next thing I know is detour signs everywhere, because you get north of Kansas City up in that area, the land is flat, and when they have floods, it's everywhere. So I was taking side roads, and I was like, Lord, I got a goat in the back of the truck, and I'm meeting somebody from Oregon. I really need your help. It all worked out, but I was almost in Iowa before we met, so it was a long trip. But that same principle works in our life. Number two, more importantly, have you ever taken a detour in life? Who wants to share a time in their life where they had a detour that you were not sure that it was the right way to go? Now, somebody's got to volunteer, otherwise you got to hear all my stories, and you don't want to hear all my stories. Who's got a detour story? All right, Debbie.
Well, it involves you.
Oh, boy. Maybe we get somebody else then.
Mark and I, when we first met, we had a long-distance relationship. He lived in Colorado, and I lived in Ohio. I was going to nursing school at the time, and I ended up getting mono, and I missed 2 weeks of school, so, I had this plan. I was finishing nursing school, and then Mark and I were going to get married. But I had mono and missed 2 weeks of school, and when I went to go back to school, they said, well, you missed 2 weeks of clinicals, so you're going to have to wait a year to go. So that was a big detour for us. We didn't know what to do. I didn't really want to wait another year. It was going to be already 2 years, and this would have been 3 years. So we had a decision to make whether we should just get married or wait or what we'd do. But we decided to get married, and it worked out for us. So I think that's the biggest detour in my mind that I can always go back to.
Amen. Good. Thank the Lord she gave a good detour story about me. I was a little bit nervous there until the story got started. But this lesson today, and the first 6 that we've already read in Genesis, is about Abram and his wife, Sarah. Now, they had some decisions to make. Let's go down to question number 4 before we answer question number 3. How long had it been since God reaffirmed his promise to Abram? How many years? $16.3 and $15.5 are the 2 references that'll, for the math majors that want to add that up. It's been about 10 years since God had spoken to him. Now, I don't know about you